Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Jupiter transiting the 8th house in a natal chart. Now, on average, Jupiter traverses a house for approximately 1 year. However, if your house size is a little bit larger than average size, then Jupiter will be in there for a longer period. If it's smaller than average size, then you'll be looking at a shorter duration for Jupiter to be in that house. Well, anyway, people, the first thing I'll look at when Jupiter transits one's natal 8th house is that this could be favorable and auspicious for 8th house related things. It could be favorable, let's say, for inheritance if you are anticipating one. It can be with less maybe acrimony or less maybe arguments or less likely to be contested by someone else if you're anticipating a certain amount of money or whatever it is, inheritance that you're supposed to receive. Then there would be apt to be less conflict as far as that goes. Now, it could also, Jupiter transiting the 8th house could be favorable for relations with a sexual partner. It could be favorable perhaps for becoming more learned, say in an 8th house subject such as astrology, the occult, supernatural subjects, even psychology. Maybe psychology, psychiatry, maybe even forensic science, that could fall into this as well. And really, it's also important to look at, though, that the 8th house can be associated with credit cards, and it's important to remember not to be overly extravagant as far as credit card purchases go, because obviously this could lead to debt. Jupiter could be a little bit paradoxical. It's not just about good luck and fortune. Though it is benign, Jupiter also has the propensity to expand and enlarge. So it's important to factor that into consideration and really factor that into the equation, I should say. Now, this could be about excessive borrowing too. And really, and another one positive thing, another thing is that the 8th house, well, it could be, when you have Jupiter transiting it, it could be auspicious for extensive research, deep research. If you're trying to solve some conundrum, this could be the time where if you've been persistently trying to solve it for some time, maybe this is a time where you uncover this secret or this mystery that you've been trying to solve. This could also be, Jupiter is connected. We look at this as Jupiter could be about philosophy, so it could be that you might become more philosophical regarding 8th house subjects such as psychology, such as astrology, the occult, supernatural things. It could even be matters regarding death. Maybe if you had maybe just one idea or one opinion on this and you were very single-minded about this for some time, maybe this is the time where you expand your thinking on this perhaps. And also the 8th house, Jupiter is associated with publishing. So if you're somebody that, say, you work as an astrologer, maybe this is the time where it could be very auspicious for publishing that astrology book, a book perhaps on the occult, supernatural. If you're somebody that's in forensics perhaps, or in some kind of investigation field, maybe this is the time where you decide to put something into writing and attempt to get it published, as this could be propitious and advantageous for that during this transit. It could be a time, considering that Jupiter is also associated with higher education, that perhaps during this time you may maybe take a course in an 8th house matter or something associated with the 8th house, such as astrology, such as psychology, psychiatry, something connected with forensics, perhaps something maybe with investigation. This could be something too, is that, okay, now the 8th house also is associated with death. I think Jupiter transiting here, we could look at a lot of like things connected with figurative deaths. Now, perhaps it's auspicious for maybe the end or the termination of maybe some negative things that might be in your life. Though in some cases, say if you know somebody that has this transit to the eighth house, and now if they're suffering from, for example, they're suffering from some interminable illness, and if there's a doctor prognosis or what have you that says that they may die soon, well, what I think Jupiter traversing the eighth house could indicate is that it could be with a lot less perhaps suffering and pain during this period. I think that is something to look at as far as this transit goes. And I know a lot of you out there don't like to hear anything pertaining to death with the eighth house, but I'm just putting it out there on about as far as this goes. So anyway, people, well, it's also important to look at the aspects that are made from this transit to your natal planets and points, as this could impact the transit. Now, let's say, for example, that transiting Jupiter in your natal eighth house is making a conjunction to your natal Mars. Well, during this time, this could be perhaps you may have your energy level may be increased and may be exorbitant during this period, and it might expand courage and fortitude as well. And being in the eighth house, perhaps this may pertain to some kind of transformation or regeneration or rebirth of some kind. Also, let's take another example. Let's say that transiting Jupiter in your natal eighth house is making a sextile or trine to your natal Jupiter. Well, this could be good for exuberant and expansive energy connected with publishing, philosophy, and higher education. Being in the eighth house, perhaps this may be tied into something connected with forensics, with psychology, psychiatry, with astrology, occult, supernatural subjects. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Jupiter transiting the eighth house in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time where I'll be dissertating and talking about Jupiter transiting the ninth house in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.